This video is about the single mom went to the music festival and a rich stranger bought her coffee. If this story touches your heart, please mention where you are watching from in the comments. Please like the video and share your thoughts and comments. Part 1. The single mom went to the music festival and a rich stranger bought her coffee. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm golden glow across the bustling city of Silver Creek. The long-anticipated music festival was finally here, and the air buzzed with excitement. For many, it was a chance to escape the ordinary, to dive into a world of rhythm and melody. For Sarah Thompson, however, it was more than just a getaway, it was a desperate bid for freedom. Sarah stood in front of her wardrobe, her heart pounding in her chest. The denim shorts she had bought last summer still fit, barely, and the white tank top seemed so much tighter than she remembered. At 32, she was a single mother to 8-year-old Ellie, and most days she felt like she was losing herself amid the chaos of parenting and her demanding job as an administrative assistant. "Mom, are we going yet?" Ellie's voice echoed from the living room, tinged with excitement. Her curly brown hair bounced as she hopped from foot to foot, a sparkly pink dress swaying with her movements. "Almost, sweet pea." Sarah called back, forcing a smile as she finally yanked on a pair of sandals. She glanced at her reflection, the dark circles under her eyes betrayed her. The festival would be a brief distraction, a momentary reprieve from the weight of responsibility, but it was also a reminder of what she had lost: her youth, her spontaneity, her chance to be carefree. "Let us go." Ellie squealed, pulling at her mother's hand. All right, let us catch this festival." As they made their way to the park where the festival was being held, Sarah's heart raced with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Crowds of people milled about, laughter mingling with the sound of live music drifting through the air. She had planned this outing for weeks, hoping it would remind Ellie of the joys of summer and allow them both a little escape from their daily routine. "Look, Mom, there's the Ferris wheel." Ellie pointed, her eyes wide with wonder as they approached the entrance. "You want to ride it first?" Sarah asked, trying to mask her own apprehension. Heights and crowds weren't her favorite combination, but the sparkle in Ellie's eyes melted her reservations. Yes. Ellie bounced, her enthusiasm contagious. After a few minutes of waiting, they climbed into one of the brightly painted gondolas. As they rose high above the ground, Sarah felt a rush of exhilaration. The view was stunning, the park sprawled before them, filled with vibrant tents and laughter. "See, isn't he this beautiful?" she asked, glancing at Ellie, who was squealing with delight. "Can we stay up here forever?" Ellie laughed, throwing her arms wide like a bird. "Just for a little while," Sarah replied, her heart swelling with love and pride. Yet amid the joy, a small voice whispered in her mind, would this fleeting happiness be enough? Once they descended, Ellie immediately tugged her towards a booth selling colorful drinks. "Can we get slushies, please? They look amazing." "All right, but just one for now," Sarah replied, reaching for her wallet. However, she hesitated, her stomach twisting with the worry of expenses. The past month had been particularly tight, with bills piling up and new school supplies looming. As Sarah handed over the cash, a tall figure stepped into her peripheral vision. He was striking, with tousled dark hair and an easy smile that suggested confidence. "Excuse me," he said smoothly, his deep voice cutting through the noise. "Could I buy her slushie?" Surprised, Sarah glanced up to find a pair of sharp blue eyes studying her, the rich fabric of his button-down shirt hinting at wealth. The rich stranger seemed out of place in the casual chaos of the festival, yet he wore it like a second skin. "Oh, Sarah stammered, taken aback. "That is very generous, but please, let me," he insisted, his gaze warm and inviting, glancing at Ellie. "It is a perfect day for slushie, right?" Ellie's eyes sparkled like the summer sun. "Yes, thank you, Mr. Sarah felt a mixture of gratitude and hesitation. "Well, thank you, but I don't want to impose. I can get it." "Please let me," he said again, a playful smile tugging at his lips. "I insist, consider it a festival treat." He turned to the vendor, his charm effortlessly disarming. "Okay, then," Sarah conceded, her heart racing for reasons she couldn't quite grasp. As they received the slushie, Sarah's cheeks flushed when her fingers brushed against each other. There was an electric spark, a momentary connection that sent a jolt of warmth through her body. "I am Julian, by the way," he said, extending his hand. "Sarah," she replied, shaking his hand, feeling the warmth seep through her skin. "Nice to meet you, Sarah, and you too, little lady." He leaned down, addressing Ellie, who giggled in response. "Thank you for my slushie," she exclaimed, taking a big sip and grinning. "You're welcome," Julian replied, straightening up. "So, what is the highlight for you two today?" "Everything." Ellie beamed. The rides, the music, even the food. Mom said we could try everything. Sarah laughed softly, feeling caught off guard by the way Julian's attention lingered on her. Well, we were just here to enjoy the day and make some memories. Good plan, he nodded, his gaze never wavering from her. You know, I could show you the best spots. I've been to this festival a few times. I am sure you have, Sarah said, trying to maintain her composure. But we were just wandering. It's nice to just explore. Julian's expression shifted slightly, the intensity of his blue eyes deepening as he studied her. Wandering can be great, but sometimes a local touch can make all the difference. What do you say? Caught off guard by his charm and the sudden flutter in her chest, Sarah hesitated. I am not sure. I don't want to take too much of your time. I promise, I have plenty of it, Julian said, an enigmatic smile playing at his lips. Besides, I'd love to get to know you both better. Ellie beamed at the promise of adventure. Can we, Mom, please? Well, okay, Sarah finally relented, glancing at Julian's eager smile. The thrill of spontaneity washed over her, though a flicker of doubt lingered in her mind. Great, let us start with the food tents, he suggested, gesturing for them to follow. As they walked, Sarah found herself drawn into Julian's presence, his voice rich and engaging. They shared stories, laughter, and light banter, with Ellie chiming in with her own tales of school and friends. You are not like the other dads I see at the park, Julian remarked casually, glancing sideways at her. No, I am not, Sarah admitted with a wry smile. I am just doing my best. Julian nodded appreciatively, sensing the weight of her words. Being a single parent must be challenging. It is, she said, her heart tightening at the truth of it. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Ellie is my world. Sounds like you have your priorities right, he replied, his tone sincere. A comfortable silence settled between them, the music enveloping them in a warm embrace. Yet, as they strolled past fruit stalls and vibrant displays, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Julian than met the eye. Do you come to this festival often? She asked, trying to steer the conversation into safer territory. Not as much as I used to, he admitted thoughtfully. Life gets busy, you know, but I try to carve out time for things that matter. Like this, she teased lightly. Exactly, he replied, his eyes twinkling with mischief. It is not every day you get to buy a slushie for a beautiful mother and her charming daughter. Sarah felt her cheeks burn at the compliment, a flutter of something unfamiliar igniting within her. Flirting was an awkward endeavor for her now, it felt like a distant memory. As they moved from one stall to another, the atmosphere thickened with a blend of excitement and unspoken tension. Julian's presence was intoxicating, and Sarah found herself laughing more than she had in years. But when she caught sight of a group of well-dressed women observing them, whispers trailing behind them, a pang of insecurity shot through her. Are you okay? Julian asked, noticing her sudden shift in demeanor. Yeah, just I am not used to this, she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Used to what? He probed gently, concern etched on his face. Just being noticed, I guess, she admitted, the weight of reality pressing down once more. It has been a long time since I've felt like me. You are more than just a mom, you know, Julian said quietly, the intensity of his gaze holding hers. You are a person with desires, dreams, and complexities. Hash Part 2, the single mom went to the music festival and a rich stranger bought her coffee. Sarah felt a soft flutter in her chest at Julian's words, but the moment he spoke, doubt crept in like a shadow. Could she believe him? You really think so? She asked, trying to mask the vulnerability creeping into her tone. Absolutely, he replied, his voice steady. I can see it in the way you light up when you talk about Ellie, and how live you seem just being here today. She swallowed hard, the weight of his compliment both exhilarating and terrifying. You don't even know me, she countered, her heart racing. I could be a total disaster. Maybe, Julian said with a smirk, but you wear your chaos well, it is kind of charming, actually. His eyes sparkled with mischief, and Sarah couldn't help but laugh, feeling a blush creep to her cheeks. Charming chaos, is that a compliment or an insult? She retorted playfully, lifting an eyebrow. Definitely a compliment, he insisted, leaning closer, the warmth of his presence almost overwhelming. Embracing life as messiness is a superpower, you know? Just then, Ellie tugged on Sarah's arm, breaking the spell that Julian had cast. Mom, look, they have cotton candy, her daughter squealed, pointing towards a brightly colored stall. Let's go check it out then. Julian suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. He took Ellie's hand, leading her toward the stall while Sarah followed, her mind still swirling with his earlier words. As they approached, the vendor handed Ellie a massive, fluffy pink cloud of cotton candy, her eyes wide with delight. "Can we share it, Mom?" she asked, instinctively offering a piece to Sarah. "Of course." Sarah smiled, feeling her heart swell at the sight of her daughter's joy. She bit into the sugary sweetness and watched as Ellie's face lit up with happiness. "See, life has little pleasures," Julian remarked, watching them with a satisfied smile. "Just like this cotton candy, simple yet delightful." "Yeah, but it's just cotton candy," Sarah replied, her voice teasing. "What is so special about it?" "It is special because it is about moments like these," he countered, his gaze steady on hers. "It is about sharing laughter and making memories, even if they were made with sugar." She nodded, feeling the warmth of his understanding wrap around her. Yet the weight of reality pressed down on her shoulders. "You make it sound so easy, but what if these moments aren't enough?" Julian regarded her closely, his expression softening. "Sometimes the smallest moments are the most powerful, you just have to be open to them." His words hung in the air, and Sarah felt an urge to dive deeper into the connection forming between them. "What about you? What brings you to this festival?" she asked, shifting the conversation to him. "I am here for the music," he replied, his eyes lighting up. "There is something about live performances that feeds the soul. It is where I feel most alive." "What kind of music do you like?" she probed, wanting to know more about the man who had invaded her thoughts so easily. "Everything, really," he said, shrugging. "But I've got a soft spot for indie rock. There is a band playing later that I am really excited about." "Indie rock, huh?" Sarah mused. "I never pegged you for an indie guy." "Why is that?" he asked, genuinely curious. "I don't know, you just have this polished vibe," she admitted, biting her lip. "Like someone who has always dressed to impress." "Guilty as charged," he laughed. "But I also like to keep things interesting. Who says you can't wear a suit and rock out at the same time?" "That is true," she conceded, grinning. Ellie, who had been blissfully enjoying her cotton candy, chimed in. "Mom, can we dance when the music starts? I like to twirl around." "Dancing, huh?" Sarah smirked. "You were going to show me how it is then?" "Of course, we can all dance together." Ellie beamed, her energy infectious. "Looks like you have a dance partner, then," Julian teased, his gaze fixed on Sarah. There was something electric in the air between them, a current that made her heart race. As they finished the cotton candy, Sarah felt a tug of anxiety. "I should probably check in on my phone. I haven't heard from him about the school supplies," she said, her mind drifting back to responsibilities. "Sure, go ahead," Julian replied, his smile faltering slightly. "I'll keep Ellie entertained." Stepping a few paces away, Sarah pulled out her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. As she scrolled through her messages, an unsettling thought brushed her mind. Was she being foolish for enjoying this day? The thought of her responsibilities loomed large, but Julian's laughter with Ellie floated in the air, reminding her of how rare it was to experience unfiltered joy. With a sigh, she pushed the doubts aside, promising herself to live in the moment. When she returned, Julian was crouched down, pretending to spin Ellie around, his laughter ringing out like music. "See, she has got some killer dance moves," he exclaimed as Ellie twirled, her dress flaring around her. A smile crept onto Sarah's face, how effortlessly he connected with her daughter. "I see you two are having fun," she said, crossing her arms. "Just getting warmed up for the dance-off," Julian declared with a playful glint in his eyes. "But I need a partner. What do you say, Sarah?" She hesitated, the fear of stepping out of her comfort zone gnawing at her. "I don't dance, at least not well." "Nonsense," Julian insisted. "Dancing is about feeling the music, not about technique. Come on, just for a moment." A wave of warmth washed over her, compelling her to join them. "Okay, just a little," she relented, feeling the thrill of spontaneity bubble within her. As they moved to the rhythm of the distant music, she found herself laughing, her worries evaporating. Julian took her hand, leading her into a playful spin, and for that brief moment she felt as if she were floating. "See, this isn't so bad," he urged, his voice slow and inviting. "Just let go. You deserve this." The way he looked at her made her heart flutter. She was surprised by how natural it felt to be close to him, to laugh freely while the world around them faded. Yet, in the back of her mind, doubt simmered. Was she really ready to explore this newfound chemistry? Okay, you wouldn't," she laughed, stepping back, her breath heavy from laughter and excitement. "That was fun, but I should probably rein it in before I embarrass myself." "You were too hard on yourself," Julian said gently, the warmth in his tone grounding her. Just enjoy the day. Right, Sarah replied, brushing off her nerves. Just enjoy the day. As they ventured deeper into the festival, the music pulsed around them, and Sarah felt herself loosening, opening up to the exhilarating experience. Julian's laughter mingled with hers, and Ellie's joy was contagious. Yet, as they passed a booth selling handmade jewelry, Sarah's gaze was drawn to a pair of shimmering earrings. For a fleeting moment, she envisioned herself wearing them and how they could perhaps elevate her appearance, making her feel more than just a single mom. Are you thinking about getting something? Julian asked, noticing her lingering gaze. Just admiring, she replied, feeling a mix of desire and guilt. But I really shouldn't. Why not? He pressed. You deserve to treat yourself now and then, especially today. It asked just as she began, her words faltering. I don't usually splurge on myself, that feels selfish. Self-care isn't selfish, Sarah, he said softly, stepping closer. It is necessary, and I can tell you're a fantastic mom. You deserve a little sparkle in your life too. His words struck a chord deep within her, and she felt a rush of emotion. It was as if he saw right through the layers of guilt and self-doubt she had been carrying. She opened her mouth to respond, but Ellie squealed in delight, pulling her attention away. Mom, look at this bracelet, she exclaimed, excitement dancing in her eyes. Sarah felt a pang of guilt as she watched Ellie's eager face, knowing her daughter was a priority. That is beautiful, Ellie. Maybe we can find something special for you today. As they made their way to the booth, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Julian was more than just a charming stranger. There was a depth to him, a sense of understanding that pulled her in. The way he interacted with Ellie, the way he seemed to genuinely care, it tugged at her heart. But then doubt crept back in, whispering in her ear. Was she just setting herself up for heartbreak? Would he still be interested once he learned more about her life, her struggles? Are you okay? Julian's voice cut through her thoughts, concern etched on his face. Ash Part 3. The single mom went to a music festival and a rich stranger bought her coffee. Sarah shook her head slightly as if trying to rid herself of the spiraling doubts. Yeah, just lost in my thoughts. It's been a while since I've enjoyed myself like this. Julian's expression softened. It is easy to get lost in life, especially when you have someone else to look after, but you deserve to be here as much as Ellie does. His eyes searched hers, and Sarah felt the spark of connection in his gaze. Thanks, that means a lot, she replied, her heart fluttering at his sincerity. Of course, he said, a small smile gracing his lips. How about we find something fun to do next? What is your favorite part of a music festival? My favorite part, she mulled over the question, the festival's vibrant atmosphere swirling around them. I think it is the unpredictability of it all, not knowing who you might run into or what might happen next. Exactly, Julian exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. It is like a treasure hunt, you just have to embrace the chaos. Just then, a band began setting up on a nearby stage, amplifying the energy in the air. The sound of guitars and drums filled the space, pulling Sarah in. See, that is the beauty of it, she said, nodding toward the stage. It feels like everything comes alive. A moment waits, Julian said dramatically, making a sweeping gesture toward the stage. Let us claim our front row seats. Ellie giggled as they hurried toward the crowd, and Sarah felt a rush of excitement. For the first time in a long while, the worries of the world outside faded away. They found a spot just as the band began to strum their opening notes, and the crowd erupted in cheers. With the music enveloping them, Sarah felt her heart beat in rhythm with the pulse of the festival. She glanced over at Julian, who was fully absorbed in the performance, his face lit with joy. It was contagious, and she couldn't help but smile. I love this song, he shouted over the growing cheers. They were amazing live. As the band played, Sarah let the music wash over her. The thrill of the moment wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and she found herself swaying slightly, lost in the melody. Julian caught her eye and raised an eyebrow, a playful challenge in his gaze. Care to dance? He asked, his voice a playful lilt. Right here, in the middle of a crowd, she teased, her heart racing. Why not? He urged, stepping closer. We were here to have fun, remember? She hesitated, the voice of self-doubt whispering in her mind again. I am not really a dancer, she said, biting her lip. Nonsense, Julian shot back with a grin. Just let go. I promise you won't embarrass yourself. With her pulse racing, Sarah felt the pull of spontaneity. Maybe it was the music, or the way Julian looked at her, but she shrugged off her reservations. Okay, just for a minute, she relented. As they swayed to the rhythm, Julian's hand found her waist, guiding her effortlessly. She could feel his warmth, the gentle strength of his presence, and in that moment she forgot her inhibitions. It felt so good, so liberating. "See, you are natural," he exclaimed, twirling her playfully. She laughed, the joy bubbling up inside her. Ellie squealed, spinning alongside them, her energy infectious. "Look, Mom, we re-dancing." "You re-right, we are," Sarah replied, her heart soaring as they moved together, lost in the moment. They danced, giggling and twirling, and for a brief eternity, the outside world blurred away. But as the song came to an end, Sarah felt a familiar weight settle on her shoulders, the reminder of reality. She stepped back, trying to catch her breath, a mix of exhilaration and anxiety bubbling inside her. "See, not so bad, right?" Julian asked, his smile wide and inviting. "Not at all," she admitted, her cheeks flushed. But the exhilaration began to twist into guilt. "But I really should check my phone," she said, turning her back to the stage, trying to focus on anything but the warmth of his gaze. "Sure, go ahead," he replied, his enthusiasm dimming just slightly. "I'll keep Ellie entertained." As she pulled out her phone, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of disappointment in her gut. She felt like she'd stepped outside herself, only to retreat back into the shadows. Messages from Emma pinged through, reminders of responsibilities that felt overwhelming. Taking a deep breath, she glanced over her shoulder at Julian and Ellie, who were laughing together, completely in their element. The sight warmed her, and she felt the tightening in her chest. Julian was so different from anyone she'd known in years, so confident and carefree. When she returned, Julian was crouched down, pretending to spin Ellie around, his laughter ringing out like music. "See, she has got some killer dance moves," he exclaimed as Ellie twirled, her dress flaring around her. "Looks like you two are having fun," Sarah said, crossing her arms but unable to hide her smile. "Just getting warmed up for the dance-off," Julian declared with a playful glint in his eyes. "But I need a partner. What do you say, Sarah?" The fear of stepping out of her comfort zone gnawed at her. "I don't dance, at least, not well." "Nonsense," Julian insisted. "Dancing is about feeling the music, not about technique. Come on, just for a moment." A wave of warmth washed over her, compelling her to join them. "Okay, just a little," she relented, the thrill of spontaneity bubbling within her. As they moved to the rhythm of the distant music, she found herself laughing, her worries evaporating. Julian took her hand, leading her into a playful spin, and for that brief moment she felt as if she were floating. "See, this isn't so bad," he urged, his voice low and inviting. "Just let go. You deserve this." The way he looked at her made her heart flutter. She was surprised by how natural it felt to be close to him, to laugh freely while the world around them faded. Yet in the back of her mind, doubt simmered. Was she really ready to explore this newfound chemistry? Okay, you win," she laughed, stepping back, her breath heavy from laughter and excitement. "That was fun, but I should probably rein it in before I embarrass myself." "You eat too hard on yourself," Julian said gently, the warmth in his tone grounding her. "Just enjoy the day." "Right," Sarah replied, brushing off her nerves. "Just enjoy the day." As they ventured deeper into the festival, the music pulsed around them, and Sarah felt herself loosening, opening up to the exhilarating experience. Julian's laughter mingled with hers, and Ellie's joy was contagious. Yet, as they passed a booth selling handmade jewelry, Sarah's gaze was drawn to a pair of shimmering earrings. For a fleeting moment, she envisioned herself wearing them and how they could perhaps elevate her appearance, making her feel more than just a single mom. "Were you thinking about getting something?" Julian asked, noticing her lingering gaze. Just admiring, she replied, feeling a mix of desire and guilt. "But I really shouldn't he?" "Why not?" he pressed. "You deserve to treat yourself now and then, especially today." It is just as she began, her words faltering. "I don't usually splurge on myself, it feels selfish." "Self-care isn't selfish, Sarah," he said softly, stepping closer. "It is necessary, then I can tell you're a fantastic mom. You deserve a little sparkle in your life, too." His words struck a chord deep within her as she felt a rush of emotion. It was as if he saw right through the layers of guilt and self-doubt she had been carrying. She opened her mouth to respond, but Ellie squealed in delight, pulling her attention away. "Mom, look at this bracelet," she exclaimed, excitement dancing in her eyes. Sarah felt a pang of guilt as she watched Ellie's eager face, knowing her daughter was the priority. "That is beautiful, Ellie. Maybe we can find something special for you today." As they made their way to the booth, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that Julian was more than just a charming stranger. There was a depth to him, a sense of understanding that pulled her in. The way he interacted with Ellie, the way he seemed to genuinely care, it tugged at her heart. But then doubt crept back in, whispering in her ear. Was she just setting herself up for heartbreak? Would he still be interested once he learned more about her life, her struggles? Are you okay? Julian's voice cut through her thoughts, concern etched on his face. You went quiet there for a sec. Sarah glanced at him, taking a breath. Just thinking about how much fun today has been and how I don't want it to end. Me neither, he replied, the earnestness in his tone pulling her closer. For a moment, they stood side by side, the hash 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 part 4, the single mom went to the music festival and a rich stranger bought her coffee. Sarah stood at the jewelry booth, her heart fluttering with indecision. The way Julian looked at her as though he genuinely cared made her question everything she thought she knew about herself. Ellie's excited chatter pulled her thoughts back to the moment. Mom, can we get the bracelet, please? Ellie pleaded, her eyes sparkling like stars. Let us see what else they have first, Sarah replied, forcing a smile. The truth was, she felt the weight of the world on her shoulders, and a small part of her wanted to indulge Ellie, but guilt tugged at her heartstrings. Julian leaned closer, his voice low. You know, the bracelet looks perfect on her, just like it was meant for her. He glanced at Ellie, who was now poking through a box of brightly colored accessories. And it could be a little memento from today. Kind of like a charm to remember the day by. Sarah mused, looking at Julian, who nodded enthusiastically. Exactly, we make memories through little things in today. He gestured around them, it is already a treasure. As he spoke, a warmth spread through her. His perspective was refreshing, he had this uncanny ability to see the beauty in fleeting moments. But despite the warmth, the shadows of her responsibilities loomed large in her mind. What kind of example am I setting if I spoil her? Julian's expression softened, and he stepped closer, lowering his voice. You re not spoiling her, you re giving her something to remember this day by, you re reminding her that life has sweetness in it. A swell of emotion took her breath away. You make it sound so easy, she admitted softly. It is not always easy, but it can be simple, he replied, his gaze steady. Let her have this, you'll both cherish it. Sarah's heart raced. She felt seen, as though Julian was unraveling her layers and exposing her insecurities. Okay, she finally said, her voice a whisper. Let us get the bracelet. Ellie squealed in delight as Julian purchased the bracelet for her, the cashier flashing a knowing smile as he handed it over. The moment felt surreal. Sarah's heart fluttered at the spontaneity of the day, but as they walked away, a pang of apprehension settled in. Thank you, Julian, Ellie said, slipping the bracelet onto her wrist. You re my favorite new friend. Just wait until you see my dance moves, he replied with a cheeky grin, making Ellie burst into giggles. As they moved through the crowd, laughter filled the air, but Sarah couldn't shake the weight of uncertainty that had settled in her chest. Did Julian really mean the things he said? Or was this all just a momentary thrill for him? What is next? Ellie asked, her eyes darting around at the festival's myriad attractions. Can we go see the animals? I think that sounds like a great idea, Julian said, turning to Sarah. What do you think? Sure, why not, she replied, forcing a smile even as her mind raced through the potential cost of everything. As they made their way to the petting zoo area, the laughter of children and the sounds of various animals created a lively backdrop. Julian walked beside Sarah, their shoulders brushing occasionally, and each touch sent a shiver down her spine. There was something intoxicating about being near him, a chemistry that both thrilled and terrified her. Look at that goat, Ellie exclaimed, pointing excitedly at a fluffy creature that was munching on hay. Goats are some of the most curious animals, Julian said, kneeling next to Ellie. They'll come right up to you if you have food. Can I pet it? Ellie asked, her voice a blend of excitement and nervousness. Absolutely, Julian encouraged, holding out his hand to the goat. They love attention, just be gentle. As Ellie approached the goat, Sarah watched, her heart swelling with pride. Julian's presence made her feel lighter, and she couldn't help but smile as she saw Ellie's joy. See, it's all about taking chances, Julian said, glancing at Sarah, his voice low enough for only her to hear. Whether it's a goat or dance. She felt her cheeks flush at his words, the implication heavy between them. You make it sound so easy, she echoed, finding comfort in the shared moment. He looked at her, his gaze penetrating. It is easy when you're willing to embrace the moment. Before she could respond, Ellie squealed in delight, reaching out to touch the goat. It leaned into her hand, and Sarah felt a rush of warmth. Look, Mom, it likes me, Ellie exclaimed, laughter spilling from her lips. Of course it does, you're full of love, Julian said, standing up. He turned to Sarah, a smile playing on his lips. Just like its owner. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Their eyes held for a moment longer than necessary, and she felt a spark of something deep, a longing that made her heart beat faster. "Mom, can we get a picture?" Ellie asked, breaking the moment. "Sure, how about with the goat?" Sarah suggested, and Julian nodded enthusiastically. As they arranged themselves for the picture, Sarah couldn't help but notice how natural everything felt. Julian stood close, his warmth wrapping around her like a protective embrace. As the camera clicked, she felt blissful, yet a sliver of doubt gnawed at her. What would happen when the day ended? Would Julian forget about them, about her? "Let us go find some food," Julian proposed, snapping her from her thoughts. "Food? I am always up for food." Ellie cheered, her excitement infectious. "All right then, how about we try something we've never had?" Julian suggested, his blue eyes sparkling. "Like what?" Sarah asked, raising an eyebrow. "Let us see what the food trucks have," he said, guiding them toward a nearby line of colorful trucks. "Adventure awaits." As they perused the options, Sarah felt her heart relax again. The food for Ellie and the thrill of the day began to drown out her worries. But as they waited in line, a pair of well-dressed women approached Julian, their eyes flitting between him and Sarah. "Julian, fancy seeing you here," one of them cooed, a practiced smile plastered on her face. "Hey, ladies," he replied, his tone casual, though Sarah could feel the tension in the air. "Who is this?" the other woman asked, her eyes narrowing as she assessed Sarah. "This is Sarah and her daughter, Ellie," Julian introduced, a hint of protectiveness in his voice. "Nice to meet you," Sarah said, forcing a smile, but her heart sank slightly as she felt their judgment. "Are you having fun?" one of the women asked, her tone dripping with condescension. "Yeah, Mom said we could try everything today." Ellie piped up, her voice bright and innocent. Julian stepped closer to Sarah, and she could feel his warmth radiating, a silent reassurance amidst the scrutiny. "We were having a blast, just enjoying the day." The women exchanged glances, and without another word, they turned away, their laughter trailing behind them. "Wow, they didn't even blink, so rude." Ellie frowned. Sarah felt her heart race not from the encounter, but from the way Julian stood by her. "They don't know what fun looks like," he replied lightly, his smile unwavering. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. "Yeah, I am fine, just not used to being judged like that. It is silly," she admitted, her cheeks flushing. "It is not silly at all," he said, his tone serious. "You are doing an amazing job, Sarah. Don't let anyone else's opinion get to you." His words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, and she felt the weight of her insecurities lift just a little. "Thank you," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. When they finally reached the front of the line, Sarah ordered a mix of items, and Julian did the same. As they settled at a nearby picnic table, the food spread between them, laughter floated around them, and the warmth of connection filled the space. "This is the best," Ellie cheered, digging into her plate. Sarah glanced at Julian, who was watching them with an expression that made her heart flutter, admiration mixed with something deeper. "I am glad to hear it," he said, turning his gaze to her. "What about you, Sarah? Are you enjoying it?" "I am," she admitted, her heart racing. "More than I expected." "Good, you deserve every bit of this joy," he said, his tone sincere. Their eyes locked for a moment, and Sarah felt the world fade away. "You know, I am not sure what is going to happen when the day ends," she murmured, feeling vulnerable yet eager to speak her truth. "Neither do I," he replied, his voice slow and inviting.